What is going on YouTube? Joe here with Color Nation Media, and welcome back to another episode of CM Strats. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Beedrill down in the NU tier, or I guess at PU, because its usage is just that terrible. But I really enjoy using this set, so I'm going to be sharing this with you guys today. Couple of things that I want to go over before we actually get into the meat of this video, so we're going to be going over those first. First things first here. It's been a long time since I've recorded one of these. You guys have been requesting like crazy for me to bring this back, and so what I'm going to do today, I have like 2 or 3 pages worth of notes on Pokemon that I want to talk about. I'm going to sit down and record a bunch of these so you guys have quite a few episodes to enjoy over the course of the next couple of weeks. So that should be cool. The reason that this series kind of, you know, didn't get uploaded the past month or so was because I was scrambling to record as many of the Battle Spot 6v6 episodes as I possibly could. That was like, I was recording 1 or 2 of those every single day, just because that meta was going to be ending, and it ended on September 8th. So that is in the past now. Now I have some more time to focus on some of the other projects that are going on the channel. This being one of them, this was a priority for me to bring back because of how highly requested it is. I swear it seems like every day I was getting requests for this specific series to come back. So that is that. Also, as far as suggestions for Pokemon are concerned, of course, you guys always show your support on the likes and the comments, and that is fantastic, and I'm very appreciative of that because you guys are amazing. But one thing I wanted to go over was, if you want to see a specific Pokemon in this series, feel free to leave that in the comment section below, because sometimes how I choose the Pokemon for these videos is, you know, something that just has seen some recent success, and that's basically what this Beedrill is. Something that I've just been kind of messing around with. I found out that it works, it's done very well, and I want to feature it. That's just what it is. A lot of the other times, I just go through the comments on previous videos and see what people are interested in seeing, and see what people have commented, you know, what they seem to be interested in, and then I go off of that. So if you have something you want to see, leave that in the comment section below. I will say, though, that a good 30% of the comments that are suggestions for this series are Pokemon that I have not used this generation. If you read the description, which I'm hoping that everybody does, because that's, I don't know, that's just be something that you do. You'll see I have a little disclaimer in there that this is not supposed to be a series where I give you the most viable, amazing set ever that you just plug into your team and you win automatically and all that stuff. This is just, the point of this series is to show you the Pokemon that I've used on the channel that have seen some success, that I enjoy running. And I'm just going to detail it for you a little bit, give you the thought process. You can, you know, if you want to copy the full set, so be it. If you want to tweak it a little bit, change some things, tailor it to your team, or just experiment and just try some new things, whatever it may be, that's the point. So if you're going to suggest Pokemon that I haven't used, then that is just not going to be something that happens. I'm not going to ignore you, of course. I'm not going to be like all rude and everything. But it's not going to get featured, because that's just not how this series works. And I understand not everybody has watched every single video to figure out which Pokemon I've used, but your suggestion should be based off of something that you've seen in one of the videos. That's just what it is. So, with all that being said, just wanted to clear all that stuff up. I know that was a really, really long intro, but that should be nothing new to you guys. I guess you don't really mind it because you're still here. Alright, let's take a look at this Beedrill here. So, a lot of people like to run the Toxic Spike supportive Beedrill, which is fine. I've used that quite extensively. I used it a lot last gen in NU. Really cool, a lot of fun to use. But Beedrill has some offensive potential, and I wanted to try to focus on that and see if I could get it to work. And it turns out that this set actually works surprisingly well, and I will leave a link in the description, as always, to a specific video where the featured Pokemon does well, because while I would love it for you guys to just take everything I say at face value and just accept everything that I say as truth, because I would not mislead you guys on purpose. I'm not just going to give you false facts, but seeing is believing. So I'll leave that link in the description below if you want to see this Beedrill take out like 4 or 5 Pokemon. It was absolutely ridiculous. So that is that. Oh, I need to catch my breath a little bit here. It's been a long time since I've recorded. I bulk recorded like 10 videos, and then Haven't recorded in quite a few days, so like now my lungs are not capable of talking for a long time. Alright, so it's an offensive Beedrill. It's a Choice Scarf user, so that is the item, obviously. And let's take a look. Let's just take a look here. Adamant Nature, because let's see, how do I want to explain this? Basically, I almost never will run a positive speed-natured Scarf Pokemon. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people like to run Timid Scarf, Jolly Scarf. The only reason that I can see to do that would be to outspeed other Choice Scarf users. But if you're adding a Choice Scarf on a Pokemon, it's already so incredibly fast that why would you not want the extra power from an Adamant or a Modest Nature? That's just how I look at it. It's not the only way to look at it. So that's why this Beedrill is Adamant. But we have a base 75 speed Pokemon here. And we're talking about NU. We're not bringing this to an OU match. I mean, you could. It wouldn't work very well, but we're not bringing this Beedrill to OU. We're using it in NU. And even still, with this spread that we have here, 252 attack, 252 speed, and the 4 leftover just can go into anything, I decided to not put it into HP because I'm pretty sure that would give you an even number, and that's not good for a Pokemon that's weak to Stealth Rocks. That's just not something that you want to do. So I just threw it into Special Defense because its defense is like base 40 or something. It's absolutely horrendous. There's no reason to throw the 4 there, so I don't know. It really doesn't matter though because it's just 4 EVs. Anyway, with this spread, you're going to outspeed positive base 120 speed Pokemon. And admittedly, there are not that many Pokemon with that kind of speed down in NU. The one that sticks out to me the most is Sceptile, which really isn't all that common. I don't see it that often. But that means you're going to outspeed a lot of other very powerful, very big-time threats in NU, such as Persian, which is 115, Kadabra, which is 105, Jinx is 95, although Jinx can also be Choice Scarf a lot of times. Pyroar is 106, Superior, I don't know what it is, like 113, something like that. And then Sneasel, I think, is 115. So all of these threats you're going to outspeed regardless of whether or not they're running a positive speed nature or not. So that's not something you have to worry about. And a lot of those Pokemon also get absolutely destroyed by U-turn. I'm looking at Kadabra, Sceptile, Superior, Sneasel, and specifically those Pokemon that are not running the Eviolite, because Sneasel and Kadabra sometimes carry it, although it's not entirely common. A lot of them like to carry the Life Orb instead, but they get demolished by U-turn, and they were not expecting most of the time that this Beedrill is going to be outspeeding them, but it does. So that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, you do have to watch out for a lot of Pokemon that are going to be Scarfed. So common ones like Jinx, Mr. Mime, Typhlosion, Magmortar, and Sawk, all very common Choice Scarf Pokemon in NU. They all outspeed Beedrill, regardless of or not of whether or not. I'm sorry, I just butchered that sentence. Regardless of whether or not they are running positive speed nature or whatever it may be. They're going to outspeed and probably OHKO Beedrill. So don't stay in, don't U-turn on those. You just want to get the heck out. Alright, so the ability here is going to be Sniper. The other option is Swarm, which I guess could kind of make sense if you took some damage, you barely survive, and you can start firing off some really, really powerful U-turns. It doesn't come in handy that often because most of the time you're going to be switching in and out. You attack once or twice and then you switch out because you can't switch moves. How often can you just stay locked into the same thing? Not very often. And Beedrill is so frail, so you don't want to leave it in if it's not going to be getting a KO. It's a great revenge killer, but yeah, you're just going to be switching out. So you're not, unless you're just going to be taking Stealth Rocks damage all the time. In which case, using U-turn anyway doesn't make a lot of sense because Beedrill will just die coming back in. So Swarm really doesn't get that much use. Sniper does if you manage to get a crit, and I think Drill Run has a higher chance of getting a critical hit, so you can take advantage of that. But yeah, Beedrill's abilities aren't that great. That's just what it is. That's just something that we have to deal with. So let's take a look at the actual moves here. We got U-turn, Poison Jab, Knockoff and Drill Run. U-Turn is great for any choice locked Pokemon. It allows you to get momentum, and like I said, it outspeeds and allows you to get some surprise KOs or crazy amounts of damage on some of those really fast Pokemon that tend to be weak against Bug and NU. Then we have Poison Jab, which is great for things like Slurpuff. That can be an issue. Obviously, if it gets an Unburden boost, it's going to be faster than you, but still, it's great. Secondary Stab, and it is good for fairies and grass types, which are fairly common in NU. And then we have Knockoff because there are a butt ton of Psychic types. And yeah, U-Turn is great, but there's also a lot of Pokemon that can carry Eviolite, so Knockoff is just fantastic to have on really any Pokemon. You don't always want to be locked into it, but if you can knock off an item and then switch out and get some momentum and that kind of thing, it's great. And then Drill Run is something that sets Beedrill apart from a lot of other bug types, regardless of whether or not they're in NU, because most of them don't have access to that kind of ground type move. And that ground coverage is absolutely fantastic on a bug type because it takes care of rock type switch-ins, it takes care of fire type switch-ins, and if you're scarfed, you're going to be outspeeding a lot of these Pokemon, so you can get a nice 2-hit KO. Typhlosion coming in on Stealth Rocks or any kind of hazards usually is just one-shotted by Drill Run, so that is absolutely fantastic. Removes a huge threat from the game, or at the very worst, you know, takes them into a range where Eruption is not going to be doing as much damage. So that is pretty cool. That's it's pretty straightforward as far as the moves are concerned, just because Beedrill doesn't really have a lot of options. You don't really have anywhere else to go as far as Beedrill's moves. You could substitute U-Turn for X-Scissor, but I find that getting the momentum and getting, you know, Beedrill out of there and not having to take a hit if you can't pick up the KO is invaluable. Because if Beedrill does take a hit, especially if it's on the physical side, with like base 40 defense, he's most likely going to die or go into a range where a Swarm would be activated. Most of the time it's just going to be a one-shot. Most of the time, because that defense is pitiful. Even for NU, base 40 defense isn't going to get you anywhere. But he does have a much higher base special defense stat. Sometimes he can survive a hit on that side. It really depends if it's neutral, if it's super effective, that kind of thing. Alright, so moving on, we have the moveset covered, we have the ability covered, item, EV spread, nature, all of that basic stuff. Now, the last thing that I really wanted to cover, we have to talk about some partners. What is good? Because, you know, Beedrill is not a Pokemon that just comes in and takes over the entire game by itself. It's not going to be sweeping most of the time. It doesn't have, you know, it does have access to a setup move, but you're not using it on this set. So, what partners, you know, do you want to make sure you have on your team if you're bringing this particular Beedrill? First of all, you're going to need Pokemon that can beat rock types, fire types, and flying types, all of which give Beedrill a hard time. If there's flying types around, it's, you know, really not the best time because Beedrill doesn't have much for them. U-Turn is not very effective, obviously. It gets you out of there, but it's not going to be doing much damage. If you're locked into Drill Run, then you automatically lose momentum. There's a flying type around. And yeah, you've got the Drill Run for the rock and the fire types, but it's not always going to cut it. You're not always going to one-shot them. And especially early on in the match, you need something to switch in that can take care of these things. So that means that water types are a fantastic partner for Beedrill because they take on rock types and fire types very, very well. They can switch in on their attacks most of the time. And then, as far as flying types are concerned, a lot of water types have access to that, you know, Ice Beam, or just a secondary Ice typing in general. So they can help take on those flying types that would ordinarily give Beedrill some trouble. And when I'm talking about examples here, special mention to Barbarical, Caracosta, and Kabutops, all of which, you know, quad resist fire, which is fantastic. And then they resist flying as well, and most of them have fairly high base defense on the physical side, so they can take a rock type move usually. They don't resist it, but they're not going to be one-shotted by Stone Edge or anything. So that is pretty cool. And then we also have Basculin with the adaptability, you know, Choice Band or whatever item you want to run on that. Just fantastic for coming in with that Aqua Jet to take care of the rock and fire types. and those fast flying types as well. And then for Alligator, which is an absolute monster at NU, something that I don't think even deserves to be in the tier, but it is there for now, and it makes a good teammate for Beedrill, taking care of a lot of those weaknesses. Ice Punch cleans up the flying types nicely. You have the Aqua Jet, obviously, and Waterfall poops on most rock and fire types. So that's pretty darn cool. Also, this Beedrill is going to be switching in and out all the time, getting momentum for your team, outspeeding, getting some chip damage, U-turning, all of that jazz, which means, especially because you're weak to Stealth Rock, you cannot have hazards up on your side of the field. That is just not something that's going to work, otherwise this Beedrill set will fail. You have to have something that has Rapid Spin or Defog, or maybe both on the team. I don't know, it depends on the team. But you're going to want to bring something that can get rid of those Stealth Rocks, especially because that's just going to be a problem. So, looking at Kabutops, Eviolite Wartortle does a nice job, Defog, Togetic, and NU is fantastic, and Rapid Spin Torkoal is another one that is absolutely amazing. Special mention to Wartortle and Kabutops, which synergize very well from a typing standpoint with this Beedrill, so there's that. Other than that, really the only other partner that I can think of, naturally good partners, would be something that can take physical hits. Regardless of the typing, if you don't want to you can just kind of throw out the type synergy, because your entire team will not synergize well with Beedrill. That's just not how it works. But you need something that can take physical hits, because like I mentioned earlier, base 40 defense, that's not going to get you anywhere. And most smart opponents will know that Beedrill's physical defense is trash and will target it on that side. So you need something that can switch in on those hits. So Bastiodon is a fantastic physical wall. Tangela is another one that can take physical hits for days. So you want to have something that can sponge those hits, so that, because, you know, you have a fast U-turner here. Like I said, you're outspeeding positive-natured base 120 Pokemon. You're going to go first most of the time. You're going to U-turn out most of the time. Let's be fair here. You're going to be U-turning out. That means that whatever you bring in, something has to take a hit. And most of the time it's going to be physical, so you need to have something that can sponge that hit. That's really all there is to it. It's a very simple thing, but it's definitely something you want to be taking a look at when you're using this Beedrill. So, that is pretty much everything that I wanted to cover on this set that I can think of. I touched on all the points that I had written down. I'm sure I missed something, and I will think of it as soon as I stop recording this video. But that's looking like that's going to be it for this time. So, like I said, I hope you guys enjoy using this set. If you're going to use it, or if you want to change it up a little bit, feel free, whatever it may be. If you see some success, though, let me know. That's really cool if you can make this Beedrill work like I've been lucky enough to have happen for me. So feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below if you have suggestions on Pokemon that you would like to see in future episodes. I do have a couple planned already that I'm going to be recording, but I will be looking for suggestions for future episodes after that, so I will be looking for your input. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you're leaving a like, rating, and all that, all the usual stuff. I'm not going to bore you with that. I will just see you next time, but until then, game on.